Have you ever wondered if becoming easier to love is actually making you easier to overlook? What if every time you said, "it's fine," when it was not fine, you were not creating peace? What if you were slowly teaching yourself to disappear inside a relationship just to keep someone else comfortable? This is where many people get trapped with an avoidant partner. They believe that if they ask for less, complain less, need less, and expect less, the other person will finally feel safe enough to stay. So they become patient, extremely patient. They stop bringing up the unanswered messages. They stop asking why the connection suddenly feels cold. They accept the distance. They make excuses for the silence. They tell themselves that everyone needs space. And slowly, without even noticing it, they begin measuring their worth by how little they can need. At first, this can feel like emotional maturity. You tell yourself that you are being understanding, you are giving them room, you are not creating pressure, you are showing that you are independent. But there is a difference between being emotionally secure and becoming emotionally silent. There is a difference between giving someone freedom and abandoning your own needs. And that difference matters more than you think. Because when you constantly make yourself smaller to protect a relationship, something changes inside you. Your attention moves away from what you genuinely feel and toward what the other person might tolerate. Instead of asking, "Is this relationship meeting my needs?" you start asking, "Am I asking for too much?" Instead of thinking, "I deserve consistency," you think, "Maybe I should be more patient." Instead of trusting your feelings, you start negotiating against them. That is not peace. That is self-abandonment, wearing the clothes of patience. Psychology gives us an important reason to pay attention to this. Human beings are not designed to thrive by constantly suppressing their need for connection. Self-determination theory identifies autonomy, competence, and relatedness as basic psychological needs, and close relationships can support these needs when there is mutual care and respect. So wanting connection does not make you weak. Wanting reassurance does not automatically make you needy. Wanting communication does not make you demanding. Wanting to know where you stand does not mean you are trying to control another person. You are human. And being human means you have emotional needs. The problem begins when you start believing that having those needs makes you difficult to love. This is especially painful when you are dealing with someone who tends to pull away from emotional closeness. Avoidant attachment patterns can involve strategies that reduce emotional activation, including distancing, dismissing, withdrawing, or suppressing thoughts and feelings when closeness begins to feel threatening. But here is where you need to be careful. Understanding an avoidant pattern does not mean you should build your entire personality around accommodating it. You can understand why someone needs space without accepting endless emotional distance. You can recognize their fear without becoming responsible for healing it. You can respect their boundaries without deleting your own. That is the line so many people cross. They begin with love, then they become understanding, then they become endlessly flexible, then they become afraid to speak, and eventually they are no longer participating in the relationship as their full self. They are managing the relationship. Every message gets analyzed, every request gets softened, every emotion gets edited before it is expressed. You think about how they might react before you even ask yourself how you feel. You become low maintenance, not because you naturally are, but because you have learned that having needs might cost you the connection. And this is where the emotional exhaustion begins. Because you can survive on very little attention for a while. You can survive on occasional affection. You can survive on vague promises. You can survive on long periods of uncertainty. But surviving is not the same as being fulfilled. A relationship should not require you to constantly prove how little you need. Think about what happens when you keep lowering the standard. At first, you accept a slower response. Then you accept less communication. Then you accept emotional distance. Then you accept uncertainty. And eventually, the thing that once would have broken your heart starts feeling normal. Your mind adapts. That is one of the most dangerous parts. You can become accustomed to deprivation. You can become proud of tolerating what once hurt you. You can start calling your emotional numbness strength. But real strength is not the ability to endure everything. Real strength is the ability to remain connected to yourself while facing something difficult. You do not need to become more demanding. You need to become more honest. There is a powerful difference between saying, "You must give me everything I want," and saying, "This is what I need in order to feel secure, and I will respect whatever choice you make." The first tries to control another person. The second respects both people. That is emotional maturity. And perhaps the most important realization is this: your goal should never be to become so easy to keep that someone never has to confront what they are capable of giving you. Your goal is to know yourself so deeply that you no longer have to betray yourself just to remain connected to someone else. So if you have spent months or years trying to become the perfect low-maintenance partner, pause for a moment. Ask yourself something difficult. How much of your patience is actually fear? How much of your understanding is actually self-neglect? How much of your independence is actually you being afraid to ask for what you need? Because the moment you begin answering those questions honestly, the entire relationship can start looking different. And stay until the end. Because the deeper lesson is not about learning how to make an avoidant chase you. It is about learning the psychological shift that allows you to stop chasing emotional security from someone else and start building it within yourself. You were never meant to become less of yourself just to make another person comfortable. And once you understand that, you are ready to see why being low maintenance may not create the closeness you hoped for, and what emotional strength actually looks like instead. There comes a point when you stop trying to decode another person and start noticing what their behavior is revealing about you. After spending so much energy adjusting yourself to someone else's emotional rhythm, you may suddenly realize that the relationship has been built around one central question: how can I make this easier for them? But a healthier question begins to rise inside you. What happens when I stop managing their comfort and start living from my own center? This shift can feel uncomfortable because accommodation often becomes a habit before you realize it. You may have learned to soften every request, delay every difficult conversation, and hide disappointment behind a smile. Not because you lacked courage, but because you wanted the connection to survive. You thought calmness meant never creating tension. You thought maturity meant accepting differences without asking for change. Yet there is a point where flexibility becomes a quiet surrender of your identity. A person can be independent and still desire closeness. Those two things are not opposites. You can enjoy your own life and still want a partner who checks in. You can handle your emotions and still appreciate affection. You can solve your own problems and still expect emotional presence from the person beside you. Independence means you know you can stand without someone holding you up. It does not mean you should pretend you never want anyone beside you. This distinction is powerful because avoidant dynamics can make you question normal emotional desires. When someone repeatedly creates distance, you may begin treating your own feelings as the problem. You might think, maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I should stop expecting so much. Maybe I should give them even more freedom. But when every adjustment comes from one side, the relationship slowly loses balance. You become the person who bends. They become the person who decides how close the relationship gets. And eventually, you may not even recognize how much power you have handed away. The answer is not to become cold. It is not to copy their distance. It is not to disappear so they can finally feel your absence. Those strategies may create temporary reactions, but they do not create emotional security. Real transformation begins when your behavior is no longer controlled by the fear of losing someone. Imagine what changes when you can express yourself without rehearsing every sentence in your head. Imagine saying, "I would like more consistency," without immediately apologizing for wanting it. Imagine telling someone that something hurt you without preparing 10 explanations for why they should not feel guilty. Imagine being able to hear their response without immediately changing your position just because they seem uncomfortable. That is emotional grounding. It does not demand a perfect response from another person. It simply refuses to make your truth disappear. This is important because emotionally avoidant patterns are often connected with discomfort around dependence and closeness. Research on attachment has found that people higher in avoidance can rely more strongly on self-regulation and may be less comfortable with emotional dependence or intimacy. But understanding this should give you compassion, not a lifetime assignment to accommodate distance. You are not their emotional therapist. You are not their rescue plan. You are not responsible for making intimacy feel effortless for them. You can offer patience, but you cannot manufacture readiness. You can offer honesty, but you cannot force openness. You can offer warmth, but you cannot carry a relationship with one set of hands. This is where your mindset needs to mature. Instead of asking, what behavior will make them come closer, begin asking, what behavior allows me to respect myself regardless of what they choose? That question changes everything, because when your decisions are built around keeping someone, every small sign of distance feels like an emergency. A delayed reply becomes a crisis. A quiet evening becomes a prediction about the future. A change in tone becomes evidence that you are losing them. Your emotional state rises and falls according to another person's availability. But when your inner stability becomes stronger, their behavior becomes information instead of a command. They withdraw, you notice. They communicate, you notice. They show effort, you notice. They do not, you notice that too. You no longer need to turn every behavior into a personal verdict. You simply observe what is happening and decide what it means for your life. That is a completely different form of power. It does not come from making someone jealous. It does not come from pretending you do not care. It does not come from playing emotional games. It comes from clarity. And clarity is often more powerful than pursuit because it forces you to look at reality instead of potential. Maybe the person you love has genuine feelings. Maybe they have fears they have never learned to manage. Maybe they care about you deeply and still struggle with emotional closeness. All of those things can be true, but feelings and capacity are not always the same thing. Someone can care about you and still be unable to provide the relationship you need. Someone can miss you and still avoid difficult conversations. Someone can fear losing you and still continue behaving in ways that create distance. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because love makes us focus on what could happen. Emotional maturity teaches us to pay attention to what is actually happening. You do not need to judge them. You need to read the pattern. And once you can read the pattern, you can stop making excuses for your pain. This is where your standards become important. A standard is not a weapon. It is a description of what you are willing to participate in. It says, "This is the kind of connection I can build a healthy life around." It does not say, "You must become this person immediately." That distinction protects your dignity. You can give someone room without giving them unlimited access to your emotional energy. You can understand their struggles without allowing those struggles to define your experience. You can care deeply and still make decisions based on reality. That is not punishment. That is self-respect. And once you reach this point, something inside you becomes quieter. You stop constantly calculating how to behave. You stop trying to find the perfect amount of affection, the perfect amount of silence, the perfect message, the perfect timing. You realize there is no magical version of yourself that can guarantee another person's emotional availability. There is only the honest version of you, and that version deserves a relationship where connection does not depend on how successfully you hide your humanity. Because the real victory is not getting an avoidant person to finally choose you. The real victory is becoming someone who no longer needs to abandon themselves to be chosen. And when that internal shift happens, the next question becomes even more powerful. What does your life look like when you stop organizing your heart around someone else's distance and start becoming deeply grounded in your own worth? What would happen if you stopped trying to earn someone's emotional availability and started building a life that does not depend on receiving it? This is where the deepest transformation begins. Not when the other person changes, not when they suddenly become more affectionate, not when they finally realize what they might lose. It begins when your sense of direction no longer depends on another person's behavior. For a long time, you may have believed that love required adjustment. You gave more time, you offered more understanding, you waited through uncertainty, you kept telling yourself that patience would eventually be rewarded. But there is a difference between giving a relationship room to grow and putting your own life on hold while waiting for growth that may never come. You cannot build your future around someone's potential. You have to build it around what is real. This does not mean you stop caring. It means caring no longer controls your decisions. You can love someone and still refuse to live in emotional confusion. You can miss someone without reopening a door that repeatedly led to disappointment. You can wish them well without making their healing your responsibility. That is what emotional freedom looks like. It is not loud. It does not need revenge. It does not need dramatic announcements. It is a quiet decision inside yourself that says, "I will not trade my peace for temporary closeness." That decision can feel frightening at first because attachment creates powerful emotional habits. When a connection becomes uncertain, the brain can become highly focused on signs of acceptance or rejection. You may check your phone more often, you may replay conversations, you may search for hidden meanings in ordinary behavior, you may feel relief when attention returns and anxiety when it disappears. The cycle can become emotionally consuming. But awareness gives you an opportunity to interrupt it. Instead of reacting immediately, you begin creating space between what happens and what you do next. A message arrives, and you do not instantly abandon your plans. They become distant, and you do not rush to repair everything. They become warm again, and you do not suddenly forget everything that happened before. You begin observing consistency. That word matters, because one beautiful moment cannot tell you whether a relationship is healthy. One emotional conversation cannot erase months of instability. One affectionate return cannot automatically prove lasting change. Patterns speak louder than isolated moments. When you understand this, you stop being hypnotized by potential. You stop falling in love with the version of someone that appears only occasionally. You begin asking whether their everyday behavior creates a relationship where you can actually breathe. And that question is powerful because your nervous system deserves consideration too. A relationship should not keep you permanently guessing. It should not make you feel that every emotional need is an inconvenience. It should not require you to become smaller, quieter, or more detached just to maintain access to another person's affection. Your life is bigger than the relationship. Your ambitions matter, your friendships matter, your health, creativity, routines, goals, and inner development matter. When your attention returns to those areas, something remarkable happens. You stop placing one person at the center of your emotional universe. You become connected to a much larger sense of identity. That is where confidence grows, not from convincing someone to want you, from knowing who you are when nobody is validating you. This is why the healthiest response to an avoidant dynamic is not becoming even more unavailable. It is becoming more authentic. If you want affection, admit it. If you need communication, communicate it. If something does not work for you, acknowledge it. Then allow the other person to respond according to their own capacity. Their response gives you information. Do not turn information into an argument. If they listen, that tells you something. If they dismiss you, that tells you something. If they make an effort, observe whether it continues. If they promise change, look for behavior that supports the promise. You do not need to interrogate reality. You only need to stop ignoring it. This is where self-respect becomes practical rather than inspirational. Self-respect means your choices match what you know. If repeated behavior tells you that a certain dynamic is damaging your emotional well-being, you do not keep creating explanations simply because your feelings are strong. Strong feelings deserve compassion. They do not automatically deserve obedience. You can feel deeply and still choose wisely. That may be one of the greatest forms of emotional maturity. You are allowed to love someone without making them your destination. You are allowed to remember beautiful moments without pretending painful moments never happened. You are allowed to hope for change while refusing to build your entire future on hope. And you are allowed to walk away from a dynamic that keeps asking you to sacrifice parts of yourself. None of this makes you heartless, it makes your love more honest. Because genuine love should leave room for two complete people. It should not require one person to disappear so the other can remain comfortable. It should allow closeness without possession, independence without neglect, and honesty without fear. If an avoidant person eventually becomes capable of meeting you with greater openness, that choice must come from them. You cannot perform the transformation for them. You cannot love someone into emotional readiness. You cannot become perfectly patient and somehow remove every fear they carry. Their inner work belongs to them. Your inner work belongs to you. And your inner work is learning that being wanted is not the highest form of validation. Being respected matters. Being heard matters. Being understood matters. Feeling emotionally safe matters. Being able to exist naturally without constantly monitoring yourself matters. Once you understand that, the entire meaning of low maintenance changes. You no longer use it as a badge of honor. You stop being proud of how much disappointment you can swallow. You stop competing with your own needs. You stop believing that tolerance is proof of love. Instead, you become emotionally grounded. You give because you genuinely want to give. You communicate because honesty matters. You remain because the relationship contributes something meaningful to your life. And you leave when staying requires the destruction of your inner peace. That is not weakness. That is discernment. The most powerful thing you can do is stop asking, how can I become the person they will never leave? Ask something deeper. Who do I become when I no longer fear being left? That person does not chase approval. That person does not manipulate distance. That person does not pretend to need nothing. That person knows their value before anyone confirms it. And from that place, love becomes a choice rather than a survival strategy. Maybe the avoidant comes closer, maybe they do not. But your life no longer stands still waiting for either outcome. You keep growing, you keep building, you keep becoming. Because your worth was never determined by how much emotional uncertainty you could endure. You were not put here to become easier to neglect. You were meant to become strong enough to recognize the difference between love that asks you to grow and love that asks you to disappear. And once you know that difference, you stop trying to become low maintenance. You become deeply rooted in yourself. That is the kind of strength nobody can take away from you.